Tonight, when you go to bed, your room will not be silent, even if it feels like it is. You'll hear traffic outside the window, the hum of electricity inside the walls, the sound of your clothes moving, your own breathing. Your brain has become so used to constant noise that it barely notices it anymore. But there are places on Earth where sound almost completely disappears. And people who entered those places started losing their minds faster than anyone expected. Because the human brain was never built for silence, it was built for a world that constantly talks back to it. The quietest place on Earth is located inside Microsoft's headquarters, near Seattle. It's an anechoic chamber, a special room whose walls absorb nearly 100% of sound waves. It's so quiet that the noise level inside is measured in negative decibels. When people first walk in, nothing seems unusual. It just feels like a quiet room. But then the brain begins noticing things normally hidden beneath the noise of the world. You start hearing your own breathing, then your heartbeat, then blood moving through the vessels in your ears. Some people hear their jaw moving, their joints clicking, even the faint ringing of their nervous system. And this is where things become strange. Because the human brain hates sensory emptiness. In the 1950s, Canadian psychologist Donald Hebb conducted a series of experiments at McGill University. Volunteers were paid to lie in near total sensory isolation. Soft gloves, dark goggles, almost no sound, almost no physical sensation. At first, participants thought it would be an easy way to make money. Most couldn't last even 2 days. People became anxious. They struggled to concentrate. Ordinary thoughts began falling apart. And then the hallucinations started. Some people saw flashes of light, others saw faces. One participant described seeing an entire procession of squirrels walking across a field, carrying sacks on their shoulders. Others heard voices. The terrifying part was that nobody expected this from their own brain. But Hebb realized something important. The brain is not just a machine that receives information from the outside world. It constantly predicts reality. Right now, your brain is continuously receiving signals: sound, light, movement, touch. And it uses those signals to check whether the world matches its expectations. But when external signals disappear, the brain doesn't shut down. It keeps searching for information. It keeps constructing reality. And if no signals exist, it begins creating them itself. That is one reason people in complete silence begin hearing things that aren't there. But it gets even stranger. In 2008, journalist George Michelson Foy spent time inside an anechoic chamber at Orfield Laboratories in Minnesota, one of the quietest rooms in the world. He wrote that, after some time, he began losing his sense of space. Without reflected sound, the brain could no longer understand the size of the room. You don't hear echoes from your footsteps. You don't hear distance anymore. The world stops feeling physically real. Foy described how, after a while, it became difficult to remain standing. Most people inside these chambers instinctively sit down, because in everyday life, sound actually helps you maintain balance. We almost never notice it. But the brain constantly uses microscopic sound reflections to understand where the body exists in space. When those reflections disappear, orientation begins to collapse. But the most disturbing effects don't happen in the ears. They happen in consciousness itself. Neuroscientists have discovered something strange. When a person is left without external stimulation, the brain activates what's called the default mode network. This system is linked to inner dialogue, memories, anxiety, and self-reflection. That's why thoughts begin feeling louder. In complete silence at first, you simply think. Then you replay memories, then worries, then conversations with yourself. And eventually, the brain starts filling the emptiness because absolute silence almost never existed in the natural environment humans evolved in. For hundreds of thousands of years, the night was full of sound: wind, insects, footsteps, breathing, crackling fire. For ancient humans, complete silence could mean only one thing: something was wrong. And maybe that's why silence creates such a strange discomfort inside us. Our brain doesn't interpret silence as safety. It interprets it as the absence of the world itself. Today, most people live surrounded by constant noise. Music, videos, notifications, voices, background sound almost never fully disappears. But when all of that suddenly vanishes, many people are left alone for the first time with what was always hiding underneath the noise: their own consciousness. And that's the truly frightening part. People always assumed silence was the absence of something. But research suggests the opposite. Silence is the moment when the brain begins generating reality on its own. And sometimes, what it creates inside that emptiness is more terrifying than any sound.